So here at Fleet Feet, they take special care to make sure your running shoes are actually the right fit for you. And Fred Jocelyn joins us again now to talk about that. And we start out with the Brannick device, Fred, which is made here in Syracuse, a great piece of our local history. But you still are using that. It's an important tool, isn't it?
Yeah, it is an important tool. This is where it all begins. We use the Brannick device not only to get your size, but we look at the arch length and the way that your arch changes when you have pressure on your foot. And that's actually the first step of the fit process to determine what type of shoe is going to work best for you.
Well, let's take a look, see what I have here. See if I'm getting the right kind of...
Actually,
stay seated down.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll start with your seats.
Great.
So the first thing we do is we take a measurement in the seated position, because this is your arch at rest, and so you can see you have some arch shape, but when you stand up, that arch may actually flatten out some.
Okay.
And that'll determine what type of shoe is going to work best for you. One of the things we do is as soon as we have your foot, we take a look. It looks like we have a little bit of discoloration in your big toe. That could be from several things. Sometimes it's from a shoe being a little bit too tight in that area. Doesn't automatically mean the shoe is too short. It might be the wrong shape and it's cutting off part of the toe here.
I think it's also related to playing basketball.
Yeah.
Like somebody stepped on my toe.
Yeah.
Or my basketball shoe might not be right. But that's a whole nother story.
Dropped a hammer on your toe. You know, and that's
important to see that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Right? And it's important to have that conversation with somebody, because had I not known you were playing basketball, we could have diagnosed that for something different than what it actually was.
Right.
And so the communication is a huge part of the fit process, and we always try to, make sure we get the customer into the type of shoe that's going to make sense for them, regardless of whether they're running, walking, or using that just to go to work or something like that.
So what's the next step here? What do you see here in terms of size? And is it too soon to get the size?
Well, the first thing I'm looking at right here, this little piece measures your arch length, and you're about 11. And so that doesn't necessarily correspond with your size, but it's a piece of that equation. If you wear a shoe that's a size 10, but your arch measures in 11, that arch may not fit your foot correctly. And so it's much more goes into the size shoe you get than just your length. We don't know what your length is going to be until you stand up, but right now you're only about 10. But most likely there's going to be some elongation. So I'll have you take your foot out of there, and you put your foot right back in, and you'll see your foot now comes to about a size 11, and we'll move this to align back to your arch, and your arch is elongated out to about a 12 and a half. And so what that means is your arch actually got longer as you put pressure on it. And so if your arch is changing the length as you're putting pressure on it, you might need some stability to prevent your foot from rolling towards that arch or overpronating. And there's always exceptions to it, but the more that arch elongates, the more likely you are to be pronating. And since you do have that elongation, if you do pronate, we'll probably be more likely to put you in a shoe like what you're wearing that has some stability in it. And that stability helps to prevent your foot from overpronating and keep you in alignment.
So what else would you do from this point forward without going through the entire process?
Sure. Yeah, some of the steps we take are we watch you walk barefoot, and we can determine any instability you might have in your foot by watching you do that. Once we've determined the type of shoe based on stability and based on the shape of your foot, the size of your foot, we'll pull out a product. So I grab a pair of shoes. If I thought this was a pair of shoes that might work for you, we'd try this pair of shoes on. I'd watch you run in it, and then when I watch you run in it, we try to determine if this is a good shoe for you. If your foot rolls right through the middle of the shoe, it's most likely a good option for you. If your foot contacts the ground and you're tipping off the side, we might want to adjust and get a shoe that's more appropriate for you.
And it's not just about color, right?
It's not just about color. Yep, we have a fun sign that says you don't choose your shoes by the color. Obviously, you have to be in something that you are going to be willing to wear every day.
Yeah, yeah.
But more importantly, we want to make sure that you're in a shoe that's going to be a healthy option for you.